Welcome to the You Can Man podcast, episode 63. I'm Josh.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Dave.
And on this week's episode, remember.
All right, guys, welcome back to the You Can Man podcast, where we believe what one man can do, you can do as well with the proper know-how and a little help from your friends. This week is Memorial Day week, and so we're going to be talking about the ultimate sacrifice that our armed forces, men and women, have given to us that we may enjoy freedom in this greatest country on the face of the earth.
Amen.
America. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. But guys, how has your week been?
I'm going first.
Please
Josh, go.
So, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know the ramifications of this. I'm guessing none.
Here we go.
I think, when the whole COVID thing kicked off, I think I talked on the
What
podcast.
is that?
COVID?
again?
I've never heard of that.
It's also coronavirus.
Okay.
Okay.
So when this whole thing kicked off, I think we talked about, I thought I had it. I thought I had it back early March before everything went nuts because I rarely get sick. I was sick for like 10 days, lost my taste and smell, like 100% loss of taste and smell. Anyway, last week I went and got myself an antibody test.
Oh, you can get those now?
Yeah.
Just
I didn't
anybody?
even know. I knew some
Interesting.
places were doing them, but I never knew which one or whatever. I went to the chiropractor, shout out, and just brought it up in conversation like, hey, I'm looking to get an antibody test whenever they're available.
Wait, you really said that to the chiropractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he just kind of felt your back and he's
It's
like, yeah, you got it.
I think you have
Well,
it.
he actually cured me. Just kidding. But he's like, hey, the urgent care right next door is doing them. So as soon as my appointment was ended, I just drove straight over, little blood draw. 2 days later, got my results. COVID positive.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Dang.
We're
Wait.
an early adopter.
Now,
Yeah,
wait a
I
second.
had it before it was cool.
Yeah.
So you're pretty sure that you got it then? You're positive.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm just saying maybe that wasn't what you had, but you.
Oh, I haven't been sick at all any other time.
Because is it not possible to have the antibody and not have had it?
No. It's
No.
not.
Okay.
Hold
never
on a
mind.
second.
No.
Something we got to talk about
Let's-
is around that time, I had to call in sick to the podcast because I had like a cold or a sinus infection or something. I lost my voice. I didn't sound right. And I'm pretty certain that my fellow co-hosts were giving me a hard time behind my back. Come to find out, Picture of Health over here is flipping down
Okay,
with the
but-
coronavirus.
Not enough to call out of a podcast.
Well,
So Josh,
I think we're on a hitus at that point.
okay. So I don't know.
There's no judgment.
I don't know how all this stuff works, but
Let me explain it. I'm a doctor and an epidemiologist.
but you would have been here with us when you done had the COVID.
No, I'll tell you what
No.
happened. You pitched to our son's baseball game. That's the Sunday, and then that Sunday night you got sick. I remember it,
Yeah.
and so
it was the week it was like the week before they started shutting everything down.
Right.
So yeah, I could have been symptomatic. And this is like the whole ramification thing, but I think the horse is out of the barn. I didn't even want to mention it at work and stuff because what if someone had died in my office and I was in the office
Yeah.
you're patient
time-
zero.
for that
Dang.
office? Yeah. But I think
But nobody at your house
I
got
hope there's
sick,
no-
right?
Don't know. Kristen actually went to. She gave her blood yesterday because
Interesting.
she's curious. Because
It takes 2 days?
2 to 5 is
Okay.
what that one place said. I didn't self quarantine because we didn't even really know. I went to the doctor on the tail end of when I was sick because it was like a 10-day.
And they
something.
just said you had the flu.
And she's like, you likely are just on the back end of the flu. And so just take care of yourself. I was still running. I went running that morning that I woke up with it.
Okay, you're a real hero.
I'm just
All
looking
right.
at the calendar. I went
Run,
running
run.
3 more times. I felt terrible. Had the whole muscle fatigue. Anyway, not judging anybody else. And I'm not saying it was bad. It was bad for me, someone who doesn't really get sick ever. It was the worst thing I've had in a bunch of years. So pretty bad, but totally had it.
Wow.
Dang.
I think I also caught it at a conference, by the way, because the week earlier,
Were you out of town or was that in town?
it was in town. I specifically remember shaking a dude's hand And they had just started telling everybody, like, you probably don't want to be shaking hands right now.
And then you licked your hand, didn't you, Josh?
but he looked sick. Like, after I shook his hand, I was like, I probably should not have done that. Anyway, we can speculate all we want, but I have COVID antibodies. So they have asked me to give my blood.
Yeah, can you inject your blood into mine?
Yeah, can we like tap into
intravenous? Not straight 1-to-1.
Sounds weird.
But yeah, I don't have to, but if I give blood, it's a plasma thing. They hook you up like one tube in, one tube out. Get my plasma so they can help other people out. So
nice.
You're going to do your Tom Hanks, right?
Yes. I'm going to be a hero just like Tom Hanks.
That's America's dad. How dare you?
Okay. I've been...
Top that.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to be able to. Still working on my loft beds for my girls. Pretty sure we've mentioned that. I'm trying to distinguish what we've mentioned on the Facebook group versus on the actual podcast. So I'm pretty sure that I did say that.
It's looking good. I've seen it in person.
It just keeps kind of going and going.
Well, now you're into the detail work.
I did the electrical today, and I FaceTimed Josh twice to navigate through the electrical stuff because I do not know that stuff. So he set me straight, got that worked out. So they'll be able to reach up and turn their individual lights off and on.
Oh, it's like a hotel.
Oh, no, it's exactly like that.
It's like one of those microtels in Japan.
And they'll each have their own little outlet, and it's tucked away in their little cubby.
Nice.
So it's pretty magical.
It's gonna be legit.
I mean, it pretty much is. So
a nearby outlet, that's a huge call right there.
Yeah. And I ran it up through the wall. My youngest, my 4-year-old Clara, helped me fish the line up through the wall. Yep.
That's what kids are good for.
I have a picture of her pulling the line up
the
for
fish
me.
tape out.
Yep, it's perfect. So now I'm just trying to figure out how to like wrap these posts. Josh actually looked at that as well, but I went to Home Depot today and I was like, I needed 1x5. Well, they only have 1x5x8. That's all and I got 9-foot ceilings, of course.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, great. Do I get a 1x6 and rip it down? Do I go to an actual lumber yard, try to find it? I don't know. So it's just now I'm back to the drawing board to try to figure out how to
trim the whole thing out. That's
how to trim the whole thing out. And it's
where those guys
crazy.
make their money, like the Keystone Carpenter. His trim work is amazing, but because it takes time.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, these beds are stout. I'm fully confident that
about your 60-pound children.
Oh, they won't even know it's there. Like it's the floor. It's a floor. There's a load-bearing wall now, an additional load-bearing wall.
Oh, it's incredible. It really is.
I need to go check it out.
Yeah, for sure. So I got that, and then still continuing to work on my running. I'm very close to about a sub 7-minute mile.
Fleet of foot.
Yeah,
rather fleet.
I mean, all that counts is over 1 mile. You keep sending us 2-mile times.
I think that you've got to do 2 miles to say that.
I respect
that.
Know. I do respect that.
I don't know. Maybe I should
not
just
official,
stop it
but
at
I
a
do
mile.
respect it.
I just figure, what kind of workout are you getting in like 7 minutes?
Yeah, that's not a whole lot going on there.
Yeah, not really. Anyways,
yeah,
Dave,
if you did like 10 of those, then you're working out.
Right. Dave, what's up?
This weekend, I think I did a record time for changing some brakes. Changed the brakes on my wife's car, did the back, and it only took like 4.5 hours this time. And so I was like, that's pretty good.
And whose floor jack did you end up using?
That's a good question. I have my own floor jack, but I couldn't find the handle for it. I'm pretty sure my kid used it like as a sword and it's under the house now or something. So a jack's not very good if you don't have the handle to jack the jack up with. And so I asked my buddy Josh, or I think I asked both of you. I was like, hey, who's got a jack I can use? Josh was like, Josh did a standard thing where he's like, yeah, I'll leave it on the curb for you. I've literally never borrowed.
I'll leave it outside.
I do not want to see you.
I've never borrowed a tool from Josh that he actually handed to me and said, hey, buddy, how's your day going?
We've always had.
He just leaves it out for me.
We've always had like a sub 1-year-old in the house. And like, you never know nap schedules. I don't know when Dave's going to show up.
I'm not quietly like.
Ring the doorbell. Yeah. Anyway.
Super quiet. Anyway, so I tried Josh's jack out. It wouldn't go up tall enough for, my jacked up Toyota Highlander. So I had to borrow Tim's.
I didn't even know because I've only used that jack on my Lexus. So
I didn't trust either one of them because they were very clearly both purchased at Harbor Freight.
Whatever.
I ain't getting into that thing. Harbor Freight.
No, it's just the jack stands that are dangerous.
Is that really a thing?
No, yeah.
Someone hasn't been on the Facebook group.
Yeah. If you'd follow our own Facebook
That was
group,
a long time ago.
No.
No, somebody just posted it maybe, a week and a half ago?
Yeah, that's
Recalls.
a long time.
Maybe a week ago about a recall on Harbor Freight jack stands. I do not have Harbor Freight jack stands. I just have a jack. Pretty sure I've got.
I think you've got my jack stands.
I do.
Did we split
I'm
those?
interested that you called them your jack stands because you paid for them. I can't remember how that all worked out, but you
And
were
you're
like,
going to house them.
you said
That's the deal.
you said just keep them at your house, and I was like, okay.
I do that all the time with my friend Brandon. He's got so much of my stuff that I'm just
don't
like,
know
I'll just leave it here.
I want to buy this, but I don't want to have it at my house. So he's got an engine hoist of mine. He's got
That makes sense. Jack stands, that doesn't make sense.
He's got a sandblasting cabinet over there. So
Before I organized my garage, it did make sense.
Well, you can have your jack stands because I'm pretty certain you paid. That was a weird day. You bought the jack stands. We were going to change both our brakes. We ended up only doing mine, and then you said you can keep the jack. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, we only do my whatever.
I was in the zone.
all right. Well, that was good catching up, guys. So let's transition to talking about Memorial Day. This is obviously a very more serious topic. I first kind of wanted to say, too, like, what's with saying Happy Memorial
Yeah, you don't
Day?
say Happy
You
Memorial
don't.
Day.
I mean, people mean well,
Yeah.
but you don't.
I'm not going to judge anybody for doing it, but
Because I feel like half the people that say that, well, let me just say this. I legitimately think that maybe I'm going to say a solid 35 to 40% of the country has no idea what Memorial Day is about.
right. I mean, a lot of people will say, veterans, thank you for your service and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
And you're like, well, no, that's Veterans
it's
Day.
people that-
Memorial Day is for soldiers who have given the ultimate sacrifice.
right. People who have died defending our country. right?
Exactly.
So if you don't know that, the Veterans Day is for living members of the military
Well,
or those who have served in the past.
Yeah, I kind of view Veterans Day as kind of a both and.
Yes.
It's for living and remembering those who have fallen. But
Current
Memorial
servicemen and past servicemen.
exactly. But Memorial Day is specifically about those who gave everything.
Gave their lives. Yep. So that's the difference. And I would agree. It's probably 30%, which is really sad.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
At least those who don't know the difference.
What about the fireworks on Memorial Day? How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know because I'm thinking that's such an ingrained thing to celebrate our freedom. And honestly, I feel like those that have fallen, I don't know that they would. I think that they would be like, yeah.
I think
Have
that's
at
a
it.
good segue into the topic. I'm a huge Jocko Willink fan, and he talks about the importance. I mean, of this day. He led troops that lost their lives under his command, and what he reiterates often is that we're here to live. So, because they can't, they're not here to live, and they would want us to do. They want us to remember them, but they would want us to celebrate our freedom and be grateful for what we have.
It's just like, when you lose someone that's close to you, you think they would not want me to be living in just sadness, and they would want me to be living life.
Yes.
And I would think that the vast majority of those servicemen and women who gave their lives would want that for us Americans.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think it's important. And I mean, we were just talking before the show about how like some topics, even around this holiday, I'm going to go ahead and call it out. Nike. I have the Nike app on my phone. It was Memorial Day. I went for a run on Memorial Day, and Nike little icon comes up. They're like, hey, you want a badge? And these things come up randomly on like random holidays. If you run on the holiday, like Thanksgiving, you'll get a little turkey badge. The icon pops up and I'm like, oh, cool. Like Memorial Day badge. Congratulations on kicking off your summer with a run.
I don't get that.
I'm
Like,
like,
what is the
Nike, let's get it together. Like,
it's
it's
step
on
it up,
Memorial
guys.
Day, and that's the badge you're going to give out.
Not a whole lot of class there, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, this is a day. I mean, regardless of what you feel about like the current political situation,
Yeah,
if you wake up in America, you have way more privilege than most people on planet Earth. Like just the fact that you get to wake up in America every day. And it's literally because people put their lives on the line back before you were born. Some just 5 years ago, some today, some 10 years ago, World War II, Vietnam, whatever. People that came before you sacrificed so that you can say whatever you want about whatever you want
Right.
in our country today. And we should all be grateful for that.
Totally agree.
Yeah. I was just randomly thinking, we're talking about American privilege. I think I should do a segment one time about how rich we are. Because everybody always has this conversation about the 1% in this country. And I'm like, you know what? You're the 1% of the world.
Yes.
If you're in America, you're 1% of the world.
Yeah.
When you look at the average incomes just worldwide, it is insane. If you wake up in this country, you're rich. I mean, you're pretty much one of the richest persons in the entire world.
Yep. So we have a lot to be grateful for. We all, the three of us, know a bunch of veterans. None of us have served around this table, but man, I mean, almost every day, it's a good thing to try to think about just how wonderful it is to be in this country and to remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah. I was remembering I visited a battlefield, Moores Creek. It's in North Carolina, and I'm going to butcher how many greats, but it's basically the furthest I can go back in this country of my ancestry. And so Zachariah Harmon fought in the Revolutionary War. And so his name's on the roster and everything. And it was against actually not the British, but it was against Scottish loyalists.
Whoa.
Interesting.
So think about that too. I mean, you're basically fighting against. So that was colonialists that were here. They're Scottish. They were aligning themselves with the crown, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're fighting on behalf of the British.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he fought in this battle. And so I visited the battlefield. They had redone the earthworks and stuff to kind of show you where everything was. And it was just really cool visiting that. And then there was one other place that he may have fought in, but I don't have actual, his name's not on the roster. But people think, he probably fought at this other battle as well.
Where'd you find this information?
It's in a book, and it had a bunch of rosters that he had researched.
Yeah. So bottom line is, it's always a good time if you see veterans to say thank you. If you have contact with veterans to say thank you, even though this is not Veterans Day week, remember those who came before us, gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, and there's one other of my family, my great uncle John Castello, and he died in World War II, and he was the bottom turret gunner on the bombers.
Wow.
Do you remember Memphis Belle?
Yep.
That movie, such a good movie, and so you guys remember that ball turret, the bottom of the plane. So he was there, and so he's actually buried in Arlington, and I got to visit his grave when I was there. That's been years ago, but that was really cool too.
Crazy. I haven't hunted down any of that, quite that history in my family.
Do it.
Yeah, I have a great uncle. He passed away World War II, Battle of the Bulge, I believe. For me, it's just spending the time. I obviously never knew him, but just thinking about people like that, people that were close to you or your family. I listen to my grandmother talk about them all the time. And so just respecting their sacrifice, right?
One last thing I'll mention is, for people who have lost somebody in battle or in defense of our country, every day is Memorial Day for those folks. So yeah, that's a good point. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and let them know that we're thinking about.
Yeah, and think about those people before on the next Memorial Day when all you post about is got my hot dogs on the grill, hitting up the pool later,
right.
That sort of thing. So let's have a little bit more respect.
Yeah, let's stratify our thoughts. You know, it's fun. Yes, they want us to
celebrate the day, celebrate the fact that you have freedom because of their sacrifice, but at the same time, keep perspective. So we'll be back after the break.
This episode is sponsored by 1776 United. 1776 United is a patriotic and historically inspired lifestyle brand. They make the best patriotic shirts and apparel on the market today. I personally own many of their products, and if you want to don patriotic gear without looking gaudy, check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and at 1776united.com. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty while serving as Rifle Squad Leader, 4th Platoon Company K, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, Regimental Combat Team 7, 1st Marine Division on 14 April 2004. Corporal Dunham's squad was conducting a reconnaissance mission in the town of Karaballah, Iraq, when they heard rocket-propelled grenade and small arms fire erupt approximately 2 kilometers to the west. Corporal Dunham led his combat anti-armor team towards the engagement to provide fire support to their battalion commander's convoy, which had been ambushed as it was traveling to Camp Usaba. As Corporal Dunham and his Marines advanced, they quickly began to receive enemy fire. Corporal Dunham ordered his squad to dismount their vehicles and led one of his fire teams on foot several blocks south of the ambushed convoy. Discovering 7 Iraqi vehicles in a column attempting to depart, Corporal Dunham and his team stopped the vehicles to search them for weapons. As they approached the vehicles, an insurgent leaped out and attacked Corporal Dunham. Corporal Dunham wrestled the insurgent to the ground and in the ensuing struggle saw the insurgent release a grenade. Corporal Dunham immediately alerted his fellow Marines to the threat. Aware of the imminent danger and without hesitation, Corporal Dunham covered the grenade with his helmet and body, bearing the brunt of the explosion and shielding his Marines from the blast. In an ultimate and selfless act of bravery in which he was mortally wounded, he saved the lives of at least 2 fellow Marines. By his undaunted courage, intrepid fighting spirit, and unwavering devotion to duty, Corporal Dunham gallantly gave his life for his country, thereby reflecting great credit upon himself and upholding the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. So that was the official Medal of Honor citation for Corporal Dunham that was awarded posthumously by President George W. Bush in a ceremony in January of 2007. Jason Dunham was 22 years old from Scio, New York. He was the first Marine to earn a Medal of Honor since Vietnam. Wow. And he is one of over 3,500 Medal of Honor recipients. Yeah, young. 22 years old.
That's incredible.
Commanding multiple fire teams. He actually hadn't been in the job that long. It might have been only weeks that he had been appointed to his position. And I came across this by, mentioned the Jocko podcast earlier, but Jocko podcast number 203 has his fellow Marines on the podcast, the guys who he saved.
Wow.
Jocko had them on the podcast and they talk in depth for, it might have been a 3 or 4 hour podcast, just about who he was and what he gave up. Some incredible things from that podcast where, he was new to the job, would spend all day training his Marines when they weren't out on patrol. And he'd have to stay up late at night to write the official, orders, I guess, for like the next day. And his other Marines, like even though he's only 22 years old, his other Marines would like bring him food while he's out like studying and writing up these documents. So they just had like tons of respect for him. And the wildest thing from that podcast for me was, in the citation here, it talks about the way he earned this Medal of Honor was putting his helmet on a grenade and then putting his body on that helmet. Well, before this incident, not a long time before, when they were in country, there was kind of like a campfire argument or discussion about what would you do if like a live grenade just like rolled out of your feet? Like, what would you do? And, most of the guys were like, oh, you kick it away or you'd like pick it up and throw it away. Cause they only have like 3 to 5 second fuses on them. So you got like no time to do anything. And so the consensus seemed like, yeah, you just try to get rid of it. And Jason Dunham was like, no, you got to jump on that thing because you just don't have time. Oof. And, there's other people around and they were like, no, you're crazy. Like, you don't have time to do that. And he's like, want to bet?
He's like, I'll show you.
He goes away. He goes out like immediately there at this discussion. And he brings back, I think it was a grenade, just not a live one, or maybe it was like a dummy grenade. And he said, time me. And within a second, he had that thing covered up and was on the ground because he had practiced that.
Whoa.
Wow.
Like he had practiced what he was going to do, like getting his helmet off of his head, getting it onto the ground. Anyway, that's just the kind of guy he was, and just an incredible story. The military also named a naval ship after him, the USS Jason Dunham. So he has I think a destroyer class ship out there named after him. There's also a book about his story, The Gift of Valor, came out just a couple years after the incident. And then there's also a crowdfunded documentary out there called The Gift. So if you have any of that,
Well, good deal. I think we should
those
make
out.
this a regular segment every once in a while. Just kind of do one of these Medal of Honor citations would be really good.
Not only the Medal of Honor stories are amazing, but there's just amazing people, acts of bravery in every battle that go on every day.
Sure.
That our troops are out there. And it's not a movie. Like this sounds like a movie and you can kind of detach and be like, oh man, that's like a superhero guy. No, 22-year-old kid from New York, regular dude, just doing extraordinary things. And this happens every day with our troops. And it happened every day in the past that, you got to think, these people have families, they're real. And we always need to think about that when we hear stories like this.
For sure. All right, that's going to do it for this week's podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next time.